It's what's really scaring the powers that be in corporate, and I'm talking about the darker side, is that by 2046, when the next census is, we will be in the minority. We of the Caucasian race, we will be in the minority, and they're scared to death of that.
Yeah, that's it's not a bad place to be. I mean, I don't know why people are so concerned.
Because they've held it for so long. Because patriarchy has held, white patriarchy has held the power for thousands of years, and there's going to be a shift. They're going to need to share, and they don't want to share.
Yeah, absolutely. World's closing in around them. It's a lot of times. Sometimes it's difficult to get a conservative to say this, but if you push hard enough, you really get to the truth of the matter of why they don't want people here. Because at first it's always, well, security, protect the home, they go through these lists of things that any rational person would agree with. Right. But then it gets to the truth of, well, I just don't want their culture mixing here. They've got to learn how to live here with us. And then you're like, okay, I see. That's what you're really concerned about. And that's where I think we need to start having the conversation.
So I couldn't agree more. That is exactly it. And in fact, I've traveled to many places, and I love seeing how other cultures are.
Exactly.
Please, bear with me.
Yes.
Look at how many wonderful things we get in terms of food. Jesus Christ!
Oh my God, absolutely.
But
yes.
It's an old belief because of white privilege and patriarchy. Yeah. And they're petrified of losing that control, and they really do believe that they're superior, which is eugenics.
Yeah.
Eugenics started here in the States, not in Germany. They actually came here to study us, the Nazis.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's like, I mean, I'm glad I learned that information, but that's horrible to learn, right? Like, oh my gosh, that's right. So horrible.
Yeah, get rid of the weakest link. Get rid of the weakest link.
Crazy.
Yes.
And what's the irony there is they're the weakest link. If we were to look at it that way, I mean, just using their model of judgment, I would put a mirror back on them and say that's actually not how we want to progress as humanity, Well,
I have hope for younger people coming up. I really do.
100%. Well, you know why? Because there's a lot of mixed people like me and my brother.
That's what they're afraid of. And that's the point. See, younger generations mix. They don't care. They're mixed in terms of race. Yep. They're fluid. Yep. They're mixed in terms of their sexuality.
Yeah, I speak Spanish. I speak English. And my mother taught us all that growing up. It was important.
In terms of gender, there's much more tolerance. I see it. I teach, so I see it in my students. There's much more of an openness that way. And why not? And frankly, I mutts are stronger. That's all I'm going to say.
Absolutely.
What?
I mean, 100%.
What does it matter? I don't get it.
I don't know.
And I never have gotten it.
Yeah. I'm all for just people, what makes you happy? Okay, great. Go do that. That's, we all deserve to be happy in life. And I don't see the point of trying to stop other people's happiness. I just don't understand that. I just don't get it.
So tell me about your show, the Lone Star Plate. I when I heard that name, I thought, oh my God, we're going to have some Texas barbecue. We're going to have a couple of shots of tequila.
I've done that all on the show for sure. We just usually we always talk about food at some point in the podcast. I usually leave it at any point it'll pop up. If it doesn't, I bring it up at the end. But that's really it. I mean, we highlight Texans, great Texans. Go over whatever project they have or their career or whatever it may be. In this case, yourself in this documentary, and we're having this wonderful conversation. So what I love about this podcast, it opens this up. But yeah, that's really, I come from the food industry. I had a food truck here in Austin.
What was that? Sorry.
I had a food truck here in Austin for 5 years, serving Spanish food.
Nice. Where was it?
Gosh, we were all over, but I was on Rainy Street for a long time, for a couple of years. I was on Lamar, South Lamar and Barton Springs,
Sure.
by Zilker Park there for a couple of years as well. Yeah, we were all over, West Side, East Side, we traveled, and of course as well. Great stuff.
Wow. That was
So,
one of my favorite things about Austin was the food trucks. And unfortunately, because of so much of development, all my favorite little trucks disappeared. There was one guy I would go to for my breakfast tacos in East Austin, and it was called Old Viejas.
Old Viejas.
Something like that.
That sounds familiar. I'm not just saying that.
It was on 6th and just past the freeway. Oh my God, he was in a little dirt lot. It was where there was a coffee place there called Progress Coffee, and they're gone too. But then I think he got a brick and mortar.
Right on. Wow, good for him.
Old Viejo, something like that. And every time I come to Austin, I go because I know they do have a place there still on 6th, but now they're there's a theater there. They're inside there, but they also have another, the whole family built it up from across the border. Best breakfast tacos I've ever had. And Jesus, Austin's a foodie town. Totally. Like LA is a foodie.
Yeah. 100%. Absolutely.
Although right now we're not very foodie.
Yeah, same here. I mean, they're trying
cooking
here.
Cooking at home. Nobody's going out. Everybody's actually realizing how much money they save.
Yeah, for sure. It's tough. I mean, I'm divided on the issue. I'm not going to lie. A lot of my friends are suffering right now with their businesses, and that's why I tell people all the time. I've been talking about it since the pandemic started. We've had lots of chefs on to talk about their businesses, and the same thing comes up, which is, look, all these places want to close and do the right thing and be safe. But the problem is the government's saying close, but we're not helping you. So you got to still keep paying rent. You still got to keep paying this. You still got to keep paying everything else, right? Your outgoing costs are still 100%, but now we've limited your incoming by drastically. And I just can't get behind that. And it has absolutely frustrated me beyond belief that the government has not provided security and a system for these businesses that are closing left and right. Right.
Look at that, devastating. Federal response and who is in charge, and the federal response. And where did that first package go to? It lined the pockets.
Big company, right? Like just people that don't need it.
The pockets. It is the biggest scam, and that the people don't get that is just shocking to me. My wife is a baker, so she was an animator. Oh, really? She was an animator, then for years, and then she became a cake decorator. And now she's a baker. She works at with a great place here in LA called Friends and Family. Give them a little shout out.
I love that.
And they're still, thank God for the bakery, because they also had like a little bakery with a cafe, and and they couldn't sustain that. But the bakery is like kicking ass. But it's tough. It's really, really hard. And there is a lot of hypocrisy going on, because yes, they don't want people outside dining. Well, because then what happens is you have people who do it right, who do tables that are, 8 to 10 feet apart. Exactly. Yes, you're not going to have the numbers you had, but you still make an effort. But then you have a bunch of restaurants that don't do that, and people are like, no masks. And that's a few always ruin it for everybody else. But here's the thing, and because my wife says, because she's dangerous, when the whole thing went down, she goes, why didn't they just stop? Why didn't the bank stop? Why didn't everything just stop? Exactly. Like put a moratorium on like business.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we can't. The world is too big. And
well, that seems logical. That seems like common sense, right? Why would we do that? Why would we do what seems like the right thing to do?
Exactly.
It would be a miracle, to be honest with you. Like you said earlier, I'm very hopeful for what's coming in the new year with the new administration coming in, and I can't tell you how happy I am about it. And I think there's going to be some changes. At least that's what I'm keep holding on and trying to, these same conversations I keep having with friends of just keep hanging on, man. Just help is coming. Just keep hanging on. You can do this. And I know the holidays are going to be tough for a lot of people. So my heart's out to everybody that's dealing with that right now.
Well,
crazy.
it's going to be a lot of people dying because people did not the people didn't do good practices during Thanksgiving, and it's going to be a nightmare.
For sure.
I think Christmas is going to be bad. We've been in this situation since March, and I have a Holocaust education program I created, which it's an ongoing thing. And I look back. I mean, I've made mini docs on a bunch of survivors, may they rest in peace now, but because I've heard and I've read so many stories of people who are in these situations. America hasn't had this on her doorstep. We haven't had genocide, war, thank God, these kinds of things. Yes, we've had definite racism and a form of slow genocide and an incarceration of an entire group of people, particularly males. Black and brown, but we've not had it really on our shores, and so there is a disconnect. And having talked to survivors of the Holocaust, and you're upset because you have to you can go to your market, but you can't go out you can't do whatever you can't do. Try living behind somebody's wall in a little cubby space where you have a crack that you get to see the daylight. And you live like that for 3 to 5 years to stay alive. I mean, what about the people who are living in refugee camps? But we are, I liken it back to MTV. I want my MTV and I want it now. I want it and I want it now.
Yeah.
Oh my God. God forbid anything really, if a war does erupt in this
country.
Right.
You're absolutely right.